Jennifer, since you've married into this family, the understanding is that what's yours is also mine, isn't it? It's only natural. I might have spent around $30,000 in Florida, but you'll cover that expense, won't you? Not only do they look down on me, but my mother-in-law and Susan, my sister-in-law, have the audacity to take people's credit cards without permission and use them as they please. It appears they used about $30,000 during their trip to Florida. But is that really my credit card? Did they even bother to check before using it? They probably didn't even confirm whose name was on it. Naturally, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, who have been doing whatever they want, should face some painful consequences. It's too late for regrets and apologies. I am Jennifer, 31 years old, working as an office employee. Ryan and I have been married for 3 years, but we don't have any children yet. Recently, after discussing it with Ryan, we fulfilled our wish and bought our own home. We chose a 4-bedroom house so we can welcome children at any time and designed a spacious living room where everyone can gather. We do hope to have 2 or 3 children in the future. Ryan and I dream of building a cheerful home filled with laughter. However, now that we've bought a house, we have to work harder than ever to pay off the mortgage. This inevitably means that we have less time to make children. The reality of having to work to pay off the mortgage and the desire to have children has indeed caused us conflict and urgency. But the magic of the new house seems to purify these troubled feelings. The unique scent of a new house, the whiteness and cleanliness from floor to ceiling, make us proud. This healing space seems to be telling us there's no need to rush. Our journey to pregnancy might be a long one, but since we just started anew, we're going to work together and do our best. It was just after we had renewed our determination that, this new house vibe is really nice. Don't you think? New houses are really the best. Just a few days after moving into our new home, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law started coming to our house almost every day. I understand they want to see their son's or brother's newly purchased house, but when they come every day, it's irritating for both of us. We are utterly troubled by my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. If it were just daily visits, it might be tolerable, but this was just the beginning of even worse things to come. One night, while my mother-in-law and sister-in-law continued to do as they pleased in our home, one might think it's a typical family chat. However, this is taking place in the new house we purchased. Yes, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law are making themselves at home in our new place as if it's their own. Even if it's a family member's purchase, spending every day relaxing in a married couple's home seems to lack common sense. Furthermore, they don't hesitate to open the fridge to grab a beer. I find myself constantly dealing with the frustration of my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's behavior, which seems to have crossed all reasonable limits. They have taken it upon themselves to consume all the food I bought, intended to last for a week. Despite Ryan's repeated warnings, they continue to ignore any sense of restraint. Dinner, snacks, and even the beer are not spared. After devouring everything, they leave unwashed dishes in the sink and take showers at our house. Once they've completed this routine, they casually return to their own home. I can't help but wonder if they are facing difficulties, such as a lack of food or essential utilities like gas, electricity, or water. Thoughts like these cross my mind as I attempt to quell the irritation building up within me. Every opportunity they get, they extol the virtues of our new house, making themselves entirely at home each day. The frequency of their visits is taking a toll on us, and even Ryan is visibly upset. We've tried locking the door and pretending not to be home, hoping to discourage their daily intrusion. However, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law have resorted to causing a scene right outside the house. Concerned about the judgment of our new neighbors, we'd eventually relent and let them in. Although calling the police has crossed our minds, we hesitate to become the talk of the neighborhood. To our dismay, their visits have only grown more prolonged. Perhaps, in part, it's our fault for not being assertive enough. The daily intrusion has become unbearable, making me feel sick. My father-in-law suggests they go and relax at Ryan's place, indicating it's too noisy with the two of us around. Ironically, if they are aware of their noise, I wish they would show some consideration. On a particularly frustrating day, Ryan's late hours at work exacerbate the situation. My mother-in-law, ever intrusive, questions when I'll allow her to hold her grandchild. She bluntly labels a daughter-in-law who can't have children as a failure, intruding on sensitive issues, even within the confines of my own home. The stress was overwhelming, not to mention the constant disturbance from their late-night presence. With the noise they brought into our lives, the idea of even contemplating having children seemed like a distant dream. I wondered if they were aware of the impact their words had on us. While rummaging through the fridge was somewhat bearable, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law had recently escalated their intrusive behavior. Whenever I went to the bathroom or diverted my attention to chores, they would delve into my closet and meddle with my bags and accessories. Their audacity reached a new level when they attempted to take my wallet and stroll outside. "Susan, what are you doing? That's my wallet," I exclaimed in shock, taking it back. They responded nonchalantly, claiming they needed to buy liquor and expecting me to foot the bill. It was an absurd demand, and I firmly asserted that if they wanted to drink, they should use their own money. This encounter left them furious, insisting that it was only natural for me, Jennifer, to bear all the costs and entertain them. I couldn't comprehend their entitlement. If their visits were infrequent, I might have understood, but their intrusion had become a daily affair. Despite my wallet being unharmed, their behavior terrified me. To prevent a repeat, I started hiding my wallet where they couldn't find it, but they persisted in scouring the house whenever I looked away. I confronted them, expressing how their actions were beyond acceptable, but they responded with hostility, telling me to shut up and asserting that I, as a mere daughter-in-law, had no right to talk back. This continued until I fell ill. When Ryan's work finally allowed for a discussion, his anger erupted like a volcano. "What the hell are you two doing? Don't ever come to this house again. Get out," he thundered. Whether intimidated or scared, they left quietly that day. However, a lingering unease settled within me as I noticed a strange smile on their faces while departing. Something felt off, and it was deeply unsettling. 3 days have passed since we kicked out my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. The silence is a relief, and finally we can live without stress. Ryan and I, for the first time in a while, enjoyed an affectionate and stress-free time together. Just as we were reveling in this newfound tranquility, Ryan's phone rang, and his expression changed significantly after the call ended. I attempted to inquire about the call, but Ryan was gazing into space, seemingly lost in thought. His demeanor indicated something serious had happened. An overwhelming sense of anxiety washed over me. When Ryan finally spoke, what he revealed surpassed my worst imagination. It was the credit card company. My credit card had been fraudulently used. "What do you mean someone is using it?" I asked, startled. "It seems about $30,000 has been used," Ryan explained, his words leaving me astounded. "Fraudulently used in Florida," he continued. "Florida? Why Florida?" Ryan never carried his wallet on workdays, and he didn't engage in online shopping, making the situation even more perplexing. We were at a loss, unable to comprehend how this could have happened. "I've asked the credit card company to freeze the card for now," Ryan added, his frustration evident. While grappling with the implications, my phone rang. Glancing at the caller ID, it was the worst possible timing, a call from my mother-in-law. The incessant ringing irritated me, and though they were unaware of our situation, I felt the same way Ryan did. Ignoring the call didn't deter her persistence. Frustrated, I decided to answer. "Jennifer, what have you done?" Her voice was so loud I thought it might break my eardrums. It was not the time to be yelled at, and in an attempt to keep Ryan informed, I put her on speaker. Maintaining my composure, I questioned her incessant calls. Ignoring my inquiry, she exclaimed, "You stopped the credit card, didn't you? Now I can't use it. How are you going to fix this?" I was taken aback. "Wait, freeze the credit card? How does she know about that?" Suspicion crept in, and I asked if, by any chance she was in Florida. Yes, I'm in Florida. I'm on vacation with Susan, using my leave. Why would you ask that? More importantly, why did you stop the credit card? She replied. With those words, the situation became painfully clear. The culprits who had stolen and used the credit card were none other than my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. A mix of shock and dismay left us both speechless. I noticed the wallet in your purse when you went to the bathroom the other day, so I just took the credit card. Lol. After you kicked us out, we came straight to Florida. As angry as we were, not only did they do as they pleased in someone else's home, but what they did was the lowest of human actions. Ryan and I could no longer contain our anger. Listen, Mother, even if we're family, taking and using someone else's credit card is a clear crime. I spoke with trembling anger. What are you talking about? A crime? It's just using my daughter-in-law's credit card for a bit. Why would that be a crime? You're overreacting. We're family. It should be fine. My mother-in-law laughed dismissively. Wait, she took and used my credit card. For a moment, I thought I had misheard and looked at Ryan in confusion. It seemed that my mother-in-law and sister-in-law were both under the impression that the credit cards they took from the bag were mine. Since it's Jennifer's credit card, I thought I'd use it to my heart's content, My mother-in-law added with a tone that made it clear she had taken full advantage of what she thought was the opportunity. But why did she believe it was my credit card? As I pondered this, she added something even more appalling. This is a good chance to teach you something. A daughter-in-law's money is my money. You married into our family, so it's only natural, right? You'll be paying the full amount for what we've used here. So when will the credit card be ready for you to use? I was shocked by her brazen words and decided to ask her a question. Did you check the name on that credit card? Huh? What are you talking about? That's what I'm asking. Did you look at the name that's written on the card? Just as I was thinking she shouldn't make me repeat myself, the loud and unpleasant voice of my mother-in-law quieted down. Wait, this is Ryan's credit card? Why? How can that be? Finally, she realized that the credit card wasn't mine but belonged to her son, Ryan. I could hear my mother-in-law and sister-in-law panicking over the phone. Why is it Ryan's credit card? I took it from your wallet. To clarify the confusion for my mother-in-law, I explained. Oh, didn't you know Ryan and I have matching wallets? What? Why would you do that? Indeed, my husband and I often have matching items, sometimes in different colors, but usually they are the same. That's why Ryan's wallet is identical to mine. But I took the wallet from your bag. So why is Ryan's wallet in your bag? Patiently and kindly, I explained to my flustered mother-in-law. Ryan doesn't usually carry his wallet on workdays, but he does when we go out on a date. Whenever we go out together, he always ends up carrying my bag. I prefer to carry my own things, but he insists, saying it would be too heavy for me, and takes it from my hands. When there are many things to carry, a bag becomes a nuisance. So he doesn't bring one. Naturally, Ryan's wallet ends up in my bag since he doesn't carry a wallet to work. It usually stays in my bag. Hearing my explanation, my mother-in-law muttered discontentedly over the phone. For the record, I had hidden my wallet in a place they wouldn't find it because of their previous actions. So, the only wallet in my bag was Ryan's. Moreover, I had hidden the bag containing Ryan's wallet deep in the closet too. Their determination to find it was relentless. It's a big problem that they rummage through bags and take out credit cards, but even more so that they use them without checking whose name is on them. I can hear my mother-in-law repeatedly saying, "But I thought it was Jennifer's wallet." You wouldn't think it's Ryan's wallet, would you? If I had known it was Ryan's credit card from the start, I wouldn't have used it. No, why is it that my credit card could be used but not Ryan's? That logic didn't make sense to me, so I asked. I would never use my dear son's credit card. But you, on the other hand, are just an obstacle to me, so I thought it didn't matter how much I use. Upon hearing this despicable reasoning, Ryan lashed out at his mother. How can you do something so low to the person I love most? The mother-in-law retorted with, "What do you mean by most beloved? And you're my precious son." It seemed she didn't understand the concept of letting go. Ryan calmly steered the conversation back to the main issue. "You guys took someone's credit card and used it without permission. Pay back the full amount." Hearing his words, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law began screaming so much that my cell phone nearly broke from the howling. Then my sister-in-law began to argue with Ryan. "We obviously don't have that kind of money. What are you thinking, asking for such an impossible thing? You say to pay it back, but we're stuck here because you stopped the credit card. Truly careless. Why would they travel around without buying return tickets?" Just thinking about how they intended to freely use someone else's credit card filled me with dread. Ryan seemed to be beyond anger, looking completely drained of strength. Then, my mother-in-law continued with something incomprehensible. "If you want the full amount back, wire the money to my bank account right now. Oh, and include some for us to have fun with. Will you wait a minute? Why do we have to wire the money if we want the full amount back?" Their thought process was beyond my common sense. It wasn't just illogical. It seemed insane. "Why are you silent? Wire the money now. We can't get back home. Is that okay with you?" They shouldn't have been apologetic for their mistake, but for some reason, they were acting brazen. Ryan couldn't take it anymore and yelled at the two. "Are you insane? There's no way I'm wiring the money. How can you even say that? Figure it out yourselves and come back." Ryan's voice was low and filled with authority and volume. It must have been scary because the two of them finally fell silent. We added more pressure on them. "Hey, what do you think you're doing? It seems like you've been causing trouble for Ryan and the others." A voice interrupted. "What are you doing here?" As it turned out, while I was dealing with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, Ryan had contacted his father to report the situation. Then, a surprising truth came to light. "Didn't you invite these two?" I was told. I wasn't inviting them because I had work. They had apparently told my father-in-law that we had invited them. Of course, that wasn't true, and Ryan explained everything that had happened. Upon hearing the truth, my father-in-law was outraged, and while still connected to my mother-in-law's phone, he rushed over to our house. "No, you see, that's not it. Listen to me, please." The mother-in-law and sister-in-law were flustered, making incomprehensible excuses, clearly more frightened than when Ryan had yelled at them. "I don't want to hear any excuses. We're getting a divorce, and Susan, at your age, how can you not be ashamed of what you're doing? You must leave the house." From my father-in-law's mouth came talk of divorce and being kicked out. Ryan and I exchanged surprised glances at these unexpected words. "What? You're joking, right? This divorce talk, it's a lie, right? At this point, do you think I'm lying? Once you get back, sign the divorce papers, pack your things, and leave right away." You could tell they were hit hard by his words. I couldn't help but think serves them right. To my father-in-law's response, not just my father-in-law, Ryan further cornered my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. "Don't think you can even come to my house either. If you come again, I don't care how much noise you make or what the neighbors think. I won't hesitate to call the police." My mother-in-law and sister-in-law lost their words upon hearing what my father-in-law and Ryan said. They must have been deeply affected. "Why are the $30,000 you wired to my bank account in one lump sum? If I can't confirm the transfer by the deadline, you'll have to deal with the police and a lawyer." Upon hearing this, my sister-in-law hurriedly wired the money. Ryan called to confirm the transfer and shouted, "If you had that amount available, you should have traveled with your own money." My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were trembling and apologizing over the phone. When Ryan tried to hang up, it seems like the two were apologizing and saying various pleas. Ryan decided to have no further contact and promptly blocked my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's numbers. Afterwards, my father-in-law apologized for not managing the two properly. "I'm truly sorry. If only I had watched over them more properly, I would have noticed sooner." Ryan assured my father-in-law that he had done nothing wrong. No, no, Dad, you've done nothing wrong, so please don't apologize. He asked his father, who was still apologizing, to stop. With my mother-in-law and sister-in-law no longer visiting the house, our lives finally returned to peace. As for how my mother-in-law and sister-in-law managed to return home, it seems my sister-in-law used her own money to buy their tickets. They should have used their own money for the trip from the start. But they complained about not wanting to spend their savings. The worst part was hearing them say, "We wanted to use Jennifer's credit card for fun." Their characters were too twisted. In the end, they lost everything. Upon returning from Florida, they continued to apologize to my father-in-law, saying they regretted their actions. But his anger did not subside, and he promptly kicked them out, shouting, "Never cross my threshold again." My mother-in-law and sister-in-law shamelessly came to our house too, but when Ryan told them through the intercom, "I warned you. I will call the police," they ran away. Seeing that, we laughed so hard. With nowhere else to go, my mother-in-law reluctantly lived in a hotel, but having to repay about $30,000 along with the expenses in Florida and the airfare for returning home, their savings dwindled, and they began looking for a house. The cheap apartment they finally found was in terrible shape, with thin walls that would earn them knocks from the next room at even the slightest noise. Life in such a stressful environment led to accumulated stress. As a result, they became irritable over trivial matters, and it seems their arguments never ceased. Eventually, my sister-in-law shouted at my mother-in-law, "Why should I be the only one paying? Get out!" And so, my mother-in-law left. My mother-in-law visited relatives, but the story of their deeds had already spread. Consequently, with the impression of being thieves and insensitive, she was continuously turned away. Having left my sister-in-law's place on bad terms, my mother-in-law could not return and had to find a place on her own. Now living in an apartment even worse than the one she shared with my sister-in-law, though it was their own doing, my mother-in-law now works all day to scrape by, leading lonely lives without financial or emotional comfort. Amidst this, something wonderful happened for us. We finally conceived the child we had been longing for. My poor health and severe nausea were all because of the pregnancy. Now, in the stable period, I'm feeling settled. Occasionally, we invite my father-in-law over to spend joyous, laughter-filled time together. We can hardly wait for the baby to be born.